Welcome to the next episode of the Dakarvette. Today's job, let's get it to stop because it doesn't do it right now. The pedal goes to the floor and fluid drips on the ground. So this car has 5 brake lines that run the length of the car. One's actually a vacuum line, but it's made of brake line, so I'm going to replace that too. I want to get this thing, safeish enough to drive on the road. I always like to have my brakes working because if everything else breaks, at least I can stop. We're going to go through replacing all these brake lines. I'm going to leave the pads and the rotors for now. Probably do that later on. Also getting it running a little better so we can actually take it on the street. Yes, the Dakarvette will be on the street. It is legal now. It is licensed and insured and everything. So, come on, let's go. Okay. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, about 8 of these nuts that gotta come off, and the whole freaking ABS module is back here instead of under the hood where it belongs. All right. Now we're gonna disconnect. I've got a couple done. These ones are obviously not good. This one was leaking. And then it goes back to here for some reason. Hey guys, time to bend some brake lines. I've got this one out of the vet, and what I like to do is I like to use this nickel copper line. Bends real easy, doesn't kink, seems to hold up really well. I've heard really good things about its longevity. Doesn't rust like this stuff over here. So I'm gonna bend some brake lines. I'll show you what I like to do. I like to put zip ties at the bends. I'll show you in a minute to get a pretty good bend, and then we'll replace this rusty piece of crap. And yeah. Alright, so this stuff here, you see how nice and easily it bends. I mean, it's great. So it's pretty simple. I just kind of straighten a little bit out here. Sorry, the angle just sucks. And just bend it. I mean, you can use things if you want, but honestly, just use a little bit of your finger. So I'll make it a little bit longer because I'm gonna have to flare the end. We'll do that in a minute. But then you just kind of, if it's a little bit too much, you can bend this stuff back. It's much more forgiving than the steel lines. So we just go like this. And there we go. Got a nice bend. Pretty straight. I mean, we're not building a clock here. We're building a Corvette, so it doesn't have to be a dead-on ringer. But then what I'll do to keep everything so that you can kind of make sure all the bends are in the right place, you take these little zip ties. You zip tie the corners, right? And then it holds it all together. So when you do it to the rest, it's not twisting on you. And if you've ever bent brake lines, you know how much a pain in the butt this can be. So if you haven't used this technique in the past, I suggest it. Let me know what you think. Bam. There we go. All right. I mean, it's pretty close. Which this copper stuff you can also adjust easily while it's under the car, which makes it nice. And you'll see that I haven't cut the lines yet on the end, because if you, I don't know if if you're not familiar with doing this kind of stuff, if you try to flare an end with a bend that tight, the tool's not going to let you do it. You're not going to have the room. So I'll have to make that last bend after I put the fitting on and flare it. Trimming the end to the right length. I think I'm going to have to straighten this one out a little bit more. So if you put this bend in a steel line already, you wouldn't be straightening it out easy to get the fitting on there. So where's my fitting? I'm reusing the fittings. They're fine. Plus I don't have new ones of the same size. So when it comes to fittings and bending, not bending, but doing the flare, make sure you're getting the right flare. A lot of cars use the double flare. A lot of newer cars, especially European, and apparently 1989 Corvettes use the bubble flare. So a lot of kits don't have the bubble flare accessories on it. This sweet kit I bought from Harbor Freight does. Aww. This is the bubble flare attachment. So I'll see if I can put something in there, but the bubble flare has like a bubble at the end. The double flare has a flare pushes it in. You just make sure you're doing what you need. You make sure you get the right one, 4.75, which is 3/16, and the tool. So with the bubble flare setup, you got to clamp this on. Use this side, which is like indentation, and you make it flush with the outside of the tool. If you're doing a double flare, it's the other side of the tool when it sticks out about 1/4 of an inch. So make sure you got everything right, and make sure you got your fitting on, because so many people do the flare and completely forget about the fitting. It's always a good idea to ream it out a little bit, make sure it's flat. This stuff is pretty forgiving that we're working with, but I'm gonna bump it out just a hair more here. There we go. Probably doesn't make a difference, but we are working with a 1989 Corvette. So we'll put on the right fitting tool. It's really not hard once you do a couple. I suggest practicing on a piece of scrap before you ruin that long, nice line you just did. The little pin in the middle, it's going to go into the brake tube. Now, one thing and then you want to undo the clamp enough so that you can turn the tool to grab on to the clamp part. Let's see here. You'll see it'll go sideways. So make sure, this is a lot of directions don't seem to say, is that everything is going in like level. Otherwise it'll be crooked, and the bubble will be crooked, and the world could end. So spend a little time, get it lined up right, just crank her down. You don't have to go crazy, you know, get it till it goes down all the way. Then here we are. Have a little more muscles than me, and undo it. Take the tool off. And voila, a bubble flare. There you go. And what's nice about this nickel stuff is it'll even kind of conform to where it's going a little bit better, in theory, but probably better than theory. So now I'm just going to make this bend again, which is so simple. And we'll get the other side and put the line in. It started to rain while I was under the car, as you can see. Dry. Not dry. Just button it up. Hopefully I will have it on the ground after the rain. Take it for its first drive. Woo! I know that it's not that exciting, but this thing was a real piece of crap. The fact that I might have it safe-ish enough to drive on the road, I'm pretty proud of myself. Not as much as my hair, but just like that, we're done. So the Corvette, for some reason, well, I know the reason, but they put the ABS pump next to the diff in the rear of the car. I know, it belongs like here or there or here. I don't know, maybe it's because it was an afterthought and the car didn't originally have ABS in '84. I don't know. But because of that, you've got 5 lines running the length of the car. Like, I had to order 3.2 miles of new brake line to get this done, and I almost ran out. I actually originally ordered 25 feet, and the package laughed at me when it got here because I needed twice that much. So I got everything pretty much put back together. I don't have the ABS pump back up. It like drops out of the rear to make it a little easier to work on, thank God. Now I'm going to fill it up with fluid and pray for no leaks. I can't see there being a leak, but the Dakarvette likes to laugh at you. Yeah, because the Dakarvette. That should be a new hashtag. Go. Nice and tight. I mean, I guess you don't want to over tighten these guys, but you know, you want to feel like they're actually all the way tight. After I get everything bolted back up and strapped down and all that with the lines, I'm going to go back over them and, you know, little adjustments. So they look a little neater, but they didn't really look that neat from the original, to be honest with you. And I'm not 100% sure the original was accurate. So let's go get some brake fluid. Get a little bit of air in the system. Ready for this? So much air. Shouldn't be much. This is the shortest line. proper way to test the car for running and driving correctly is burnouts.
Good, running better. I'll probably do a little video on how I did all the tuning up, how I went from tractor to proper Corvette, at least sounding. So now that she's running good and that she's stopping good, you know what time it is. I mean, I don't quite know how it's gonna fit. I think I'm gonna need a bigger saw, but it's time to get this thing up off the ground a little bit. Keep watching, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Make sure this is in your feed because it's gonna get good. Adios.